Hey there, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Amy, and on today's video, I want to look at a couple articles. But the first one started because I saw that a man from Minnesota, which is where I'm originally from, traveled to New York and back, and I feel like it's highlighting sort of the scare or fear that people have with this new variant, and I just want to kind of look at it hopefully from a neutral perspective. I I do get very passionate about the issues sometimes, so I will try to definitely stay neutral here. But let me share my screen. This is from Yahoo Finance or Yahoo News, and basically the guy traveled from Minnesota to New York City for an anime convention, and he tested positive for the Cervesa Sickness, which is what I'm going to call it to be YouTube friendly. And one of the things I wanted to point out is, we all know that New York has a lot of restrictions in place, and I feel like we're seeing what's going on in Australia. And I personally am pretty shocked that Australia has this kind of lockdown situation. And, we're seeing things like there's a manhunt for the people that escaped from their, I don't know what they're being called, their camps. But, you know, I, I just am a little bit nervous that this is a slippery slope that we are embarking on. And so let me point this out here with the article. Let's see. They basically are saying, that everyone here, okay, let's see. They basically said everyone that had to come to the conference was required to be they were required to get the shot, and they were required to wear masks. And then there are some places in here where it starts saying, this woman from New York said she was double vaccinated and about to get her booster, and she tested negative on this at this time. But she also pointed out how, not everyone, right here it says, was everyone wearing a mask? And she said, no, not everyone was following the mandate, including myself. I took it off for a few minutes to breathe or a moment to breathe. I feel like the article itself is just showing that, all of this to say they're trying to track where this came from. And the guy that got it, they basically, okay, so they say in New York, no one knows when or how the O variant was contracted, and that they're going to have further contract, or what do you call it, contact tracing to find out, where he got it, if all his friends had the shots. Because essentially, let me see where it is in here. They talk about, no, that was too far down. Sorry. I don't know how to highlight stuff on here, so I end up getting a little bit lost while I'm going through it. But basically, people traveled to New York. They tested positive after their return. They don't know if it was the newest version or the older version, but essentially, they're focusing on contact tracing. This kind of brings up, what happened after 9/11, where all of a sudden we need to know everything about everyone. And I feel like that, everyone is selling their personal freedom at the door just to be on social media. And that is our own choice. But basically, one thing that I wanted to point out here is that, obviously the restrictions in New York are very high, and they're, trying to say that they don't know where he got it. They want to find out because his symptoms showed up a couple days after the conference, which would lead you to believe that he actually got it while he was in New York. So they don't know how it was contracted. They said that it was a heavily attended, crowded event. And, so that's what I wanted to point out from that article. I also wanted to kind of show another article how they, mainstream media, I do feel like has been a little bit biased, if you will, because we know that, like CNN, for instance, is owned, I think, by Bill Gates. But I wanted to kind of point out how this new variant is not able to be identified as all these things that they're saying, basically that it's more contagious or anything. Like, none of the facts coming back about the new variant are actually showing that it is problematic or any worse than a previous one. And so they're kind of coming back and saying, actually, Delta is the bigger concern now, which I feel like is just kind of like, I don't know, grasping at straws, because we are identifying that this is going to be an endemic. It's not going to be like a one-hit wonder pandemic. It's going to be here. It's like the flu. And I also wanted to just say, like, I'm traveling. I'm going to a conference in the Rebel Capitalist Conference, actually in Houston in January, and I really don't want travel restrictions for myself. That's my personal opinion. But I will say one of the things that I realized is that the travel restrictions on the airlines, especially in this article, it talks about that Biden says stricter travel measures are sufficient to deal with the new variant. But, this right here, new rules which start on Monday will require each traveler flying into the U.S. from another country to test negative for COVID one day before their departure. He has previously suggested the suspension of vax patients for easier access. The suspension? Oh, from South Africa. Yeah, I guess I just wanted to kind of look through some of these articles today, because I think that, reading the fine print is something that we're not that good at. And I even feel like I did this today, where I read the stricter travel measures and thought, oh no, I'm, flying domestically, and I wanted to read this. I probably should have read this thoroughly. But he's saying there's another strain. The idea is we can build a wall around America and keep COVID from around the world. Wait, the idea that you can build a wall around America to keep any Cervesa sickness from around the world is not out there, Biden said, claiming the U.S. has done more for the world in providing vaccines available and help every other nation. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I think that we really, I don't know, we shouldn't have these I don't think we should have these mandates. I think we should just be able to choose for ourselves, but that may not be happening. But I think if there are travel restrictions through the airlines, it's going to be because that's where Biden can control, because the airlines are primarily the ones that are getting bailed out by the government. So they're the most likely to accept the rules from Biden, honestly, because they don't want to get cut off in the end from any kind of bailouts. And so hopefully we don't see any more lockdowns, but I did just want to share that with you. Let me take that off. So again, this is just sort of my opinion. I wanted to just look at some of the new news from the left perspective, because I do kind of dislike both parties equally, and I want to, make sure that we're standing up for our own personal freedom in this world that we're, living in. And so let me end with that. I don't know if I've shed any light on it for you, but I know, like, I shared a story about my mom and how she was going to have to quit her job because of the healthcare workers mandate, and actually a federal judge did overturn that. And so she and the 12 others that she works with who did not want to get the jab were able to keep their jobs for now. And so, that's good news. I feel like we don't want to turn into Australia. I think that's a very real day example of what can happen when just we sort of let the narrative get out of control. But that's just my opinion. What do you feel about this? Leave your comments below, and thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.